The crystal waters of planet Narration had turned dark and ugly. Elder Velthara looked down at her dying world from the floating city above the ocean. Her people, the Cathara, were shaped like gentle sea creatures with see-through skin that glowed, with soft colors. They had lived peacefully in these waters for thousands of years, but now everything was dying. The beautiful coral reefs that gave life to their world were turning black and crumbling away. The sickness spread faster each day, killing everything it touched. Velthara's tentacles moved slowly through the poisoned water as she tried to understand what was happening. The Kithara had always been friends with other alien races. They were kind and wise, never fighting with anyone. The big Galactic Council loved them because they helped solve problems with words instead of weapons. Many alien visitors came to Narration to learn from the peaceful Kithara. Ambassador Quindar floated weakly in his special water tank, watching the last alien ships fly away from their world. His blue glow was getting dimmer each day as the sickness made him weaker. The tall, proud Zentari had promised to bring help 3 months ago. The smart Veloid scientists said they would find a cure. The rich Mercanti traders swore they would send medicine. All of them had left when things got really bad. They said they would come back, Velthara whispered to her friend. They promised we would not die alone, but the promises meant nothing now. Yesterday, the final message came from the Galactic Council. A cold electronic voice announced that Narration was now a quarantine zone. No ships could come or go. The sickness was too dangerous to risk spreading to other worlds. The message was clear. The Cathara were being left to die. Quindar's tentacles shook with sadness. "We cannot live away from our oceans," he said. "Our bodies need the special minerals in Naration's water. We will die in space or on other worlds just as surely as we die here." Velthara nodded. The Cathara had tried to evacuate before, but their delicate bodies could only survive a few days away from their home waters. They were trapped on their dying planet with no way to escape. Other alien races could breathe different air and eat different food, but the Kithara were made for only one world, and that world was ending. The children's singing had stopped weeks ago. Usually, young Cathara would swim through the coral gardens, their voices creating beautiful music that echoed through the water. Now the coral was dead and black, and there were fewer children every day. The oldest members of their society were dying first, but soon the sickness would take everyone. In the deep cities below, families gathered together in their slowly failing homes. The biolights that had glowed for centuries were going out one by one. Parents held their children close, telling them old stories about the time when Narration was full of life and color, but even the parents were getting sick now. Elder Velthara remembered when alien ambassadors would visit their Grand Council chambers. The room would shine with rainbow lights as different species shared knowledge and made peaceful agreements. Alien children would play with Cathara young ones in the shallow pools, laughing as they learned each other's games. Those days felt like a dream now. The council chambers were empty and dark. The visitor pools had dried up. All the communication, devices that once buzzed with friendly messages from across the galaxy, were silent. "Why did they leave us?" asked young Lysandra, one of the few children still healthy enough to swim. Her small voice was full of confusion. "Did we do something wrong?" Velthara did not know how to answer. The Cathara had never hurt anyone. They had shared their knowledge freely and welcomed all visitors. They had helped solve conflicts between other races and had never asked for anything in return except friendship. Maybe that was the problem. When the crisis came, friendship was not enough. Other species had their own worlds to protect, their own people to save. The Cathara were just one small, weak race on a distant planet. It was easier to build a fence around their dying world than to risk everything trying to save them. The warning beacons around their planet sent the same message over and over. Danger, quarantine zone, do not enter, deadly disease. Any ship that came close would hear the warnings and turn away. No one would risk their lives for the forgotten Cathara. Velthara floated up to the surface and looked at the stars. Somewhere out there, the galaxy continued without them. Ships traded goods. Between worlds, aliens made new discoveries and life went on. But here on Narration, time was running out. The Kithara would face their end with dignity, as they had faced everything else in their long history. They would not blame the galaxy for abandoning them. They would simply fade away quietly, like their dying coral reefs. The red warning lights flashed angrily around planet Narration as a single ship moved closer through space. Loud alarms screamed the same message over and over. Danger, quarantine zone, deadly sickness, stay away. Most ships would turn around and fly far from this cursed world. But Captain Jin-Ho Kim was not like most captains. Sir, we are getting warning messages from the Galactic Authority, said Lieutenant Bo-Ra Park from her seat at the communication controls. Her young face looked worried as more and more angry messages filled her screen. Write them down and keep flying, Jin-Ho said calmly. His dark eyes stared at the brown and dying planet ahead. What did the scanners show us? Science Officer Dongmin. Lee looked at his instruments with surprise. The whole world is dying, Captain, but wait, I can see life signs down there. Someone is still alive. Jin-Ho nodded slowly. He had heard the stories about this place. The peaceful fish-like aliens called Kithara lived here. Everyone said they were the kindest race in the galaxy. They never fought wars or caused trouble. They just wanted to help others and live quietly in their ocean world. Now they were dying alone because everyone else was too scared to help them. Other alien races whispered scary stories about humans. They called them the Bloodthirsty ones and the Crazy Warriors. They said humans never knew when to give up even when fighting was hopeless. Most aliens thought humans were dangerous because they would not run away from impossible battles. Today, being dangerous might be a good thing. The human ship Resilience broke through the planet's atmosphere like a silver arrow. Below them, the once beautiful oceans looked sick and dirty. What used to be bright coral cities were now dark and empty. But Jin-Ho could see movement in the water, survivors who had not given up yet. Elder Velthara felt the vibrations in the water as the strange ship landed near their floating city. She had not seen a visitor in months. Her glowing tentacles moved slowly as she swam toward the surface, expecting to find another group of aliens who would look at their dying world and fly away in fear. But when the ship's door opened, something different happened. A human woman stepped out wearing a blue uniform with strange symbols on it. She had short black hair and kind eyes, but there was something strong and determined about the way she moved. Behind her came more humans, some carrying medical equipment, others with tools and weapons. I am Commander Hyejin Choi, the human woman said in perfect galactic standard language. We heard your cry for help. We came as fast as we could. Velthara stared in shock. But the warnings, the quarantine, why did you come here? Are you not afraid of the sickness? Hyejin smiled, but it was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone ready to fight. We are human. We do not abandon people who need help. More humans were already working. A man with thick glasses and many tools was taking samples of the poisoned water. A woman with medical equipment was scanning the dying coral reefs. Soldiers were setting up a protective camp on the shore. This is impossible, whispered Ambassador Quindar to Velthara. The humans are known for being violent and dangerous. Why would they risk their lives for us? But Velthara was watching the humans work. They moved with purpose and energy that the Kithara had not seen in months. The scientist with glasses was already diving into the poisoned water, not caring about the danger. The medical officer was treating sick Kithra children with gentle hands. Maybe, Velthara said quietly. The galaxy does not understand what dangerous really means. Captain Jin-Ho stood on the beach looking at the dying ocean. His communication officer approached, him with a worried expression. Captain, we are getting angry messages from the Galactic Council. They want to know why we ignored the quarantine. They say we are breaking galactic law. Jin-Ho picked up a piece of dead coral and crushed it in his hand. Tell them we are being human. If they do not understand what that means, they will learn soon enough. Dr. Wu Jin Nam climbed out of the water with samples of the black sickness that was killing everything. His face was serious as he looked at the test results on his portable scanner. Captain, he called out, this is not a natural disease. Someone made this sickness in a laboratory. Someone wanted to kill this planet on purpose. The other humans stopped their work and looked at their captain. Jinho's eyes became hard and cold like winter steel. Around the galaxy, other races feared humans because they were fighters who never surrendered. The Cathara were about to learn why that reputation existed. "Find out who did this," Jinho said quietly. "Find them now." Elder Velthara shivered, but not from fear. For the first time in months, she felt hope. Dr. Woojin Nam had been working for 3 days without sleep. His eyes were red and tired, but he would not stop. The Cathara watched him dive into their poisoned waters again and again, collecting samples of the Black Death that was killing their world. Other alien scientists had come before. They took a few samples, made notes, and left saying the problem was too hard to solve. But this human was different. He worked like his own family, was dying. "It is not natural," Wu Jin announced to everyone gathered around his portable laboratory on the beach. His voice was angry and certain. "Someone made this sickness. Someone wanted to kill your people." Commander Hye Jin moved closer to look at the test results on his screen. Her face became dark with rage as she understood what the data meant. "Show me everything." The proof was clear and terrible. Under the microscope, they could see tiny markers in the sickness, like a signature left by whoever made it. The markers matched technology used by the hegemony, a group of evil aliens who attacked peaceful worlds to steal their treasures. Elder Velthara floated in her water tank, listening to the humans talk. "The hegemony wanted our mineral deposits," she said sadly. "But we would have shared them freely if they had asked. Why did they choose murder instead?" Captain Jinho looked at her with eyes full of cold fire. "Because asking takes time. Because sharing means less profit. Because they thought no one would stop them. Other species tried to help us," Ambassador Quindar said weakly. "The Zentari Council met for weeks to discuss solutions. The Veloid scientists wrote research papers about possible cures. The Mercanti offered to relocate us to other worlds." Sergeant Taeho Shin looked up from cleaning his plasma rifle. The weapon gleamed with deadly beauty in the alien sunlight. "Meetings and papers do not save lives," he said simply. "Action saves lives." "And humans take action?" Velthara asked, though she was beginning to understand the answer. "We do not negotiate with killers," Lieutenant Bo-Ra Park said from her communication station. "We solve problems." While Dr. Nam worked on creating a medicine to heal the dying coral reefs, the other humans began what they called intelligence gathering. The Cathara soon learned this was human language for hunting their enemies. Engineer Yu Jin Han was building strange devices that could track hegemony ships across space. Sergeant Taiho was studying maps of hegemony bases in nearby star systems. Commander Hye Jin was making battle plans with the cold efficiency of a born warrior. "This is how humans help?" asked young Lysandra, one of the few Cathara children still healthy enough to swim. "With weapons and war?" Captain Jinho knelt down beside her small water pool so they could talk face to face. "Sometimes, little one, the only way to protect good people is to stop bad people. Other species will talk and meet and write letters while you die. We prefer to act." "But violence is wrong," Lysandra said, repeating what all Cathara children were taught. "Fighting only makes more fighting." Jinho was quiet for a moment, watching the child's innocent face. "You are right. Fighting is terrible. But sometimes, not fighting is worse. If someone is trying to kill your family, do you talk to them or do you stop them?" Dr. Nam suddenly shouted with excitement from his laboratory. "I found it. I know how to reverse the poison." He held up a small vial of green liquid that seemed to glow with inner light. "This should not only stop the sickness but make your coral stronger than before." The humans cheered, but their celebration was interrupted by alarms from Lieutenant Bo-Ra's station. "Captain, 3 hegemony warships just dropped out of hyperspace. They are heading straight for us." Elder Velthara felt her heart sink. "They have come to finish what they started. Now the humans will leave like all the others." But Captain Jinho was smiling. A cold, terrible smile that made even the peaceful Cathara shiver. "No, Elder. Now they have made their biggest mistake." "What mistake?" Velthara asked. "They came back while we were here," Commander He-jin answered, checking her sidearm. Other species run from the hegemony. Humans run toward them. Sergeant. Taeho stood up and shouldered his rifle. Time to show these killers why the galaxy fears us. Dr. Nam carefully sealed his cure in a protective container. Get this to the coral reefs if something happens to me, he told Velthara. Your people must survive. The Kythera watched in amazement as the humans prepared for battle. There was no fear in their eyes, no doubt in their movements. They had come to save a dying world, and they would not let anything stop them. Above them, the hegemony ships grew larger in the sky, expecting the humans to flee like cowards. They had no idea what was coming for them. The 3 hegemony warships hung in the sky like dark metal clouds above planet Narration. Admiral Krexthor stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking down at the small human vessel on the beach. His reptilian face showed sharp teeth in what his species called a smile. Primitives, he hissed to his officers. The galaxy calls them bloodthirsty, but they are just animals with guns. Watch them run when we show our power. But Captain Jin-ho did not run. He stood on the beach with his hands behind his back, looking up at the enemy ships without fear. His communication officer handed him a speaker device. Hegemony vessels. Jin-ho's voice carried clearly through space. You poisoned an entire species to steal their world. You have one chance to surrender and face justice. Admiral Krexthor laughed so hard his whole body shook. The human thinks he can threaten us. 3 warships against 1 tiny exploration ship. He opened a channel to mock the humans. Little human, we killed this world and everyone on it. Now, we will kill you too. Run away and we might let you live. Jin-ho's answer was simple and cold. No. Then die like the fish people. Krexthor snarled and gave the order to attack. Plasma fire rained down from the hegemony ships like deadly lightning. But the humans were already moving. Lieutenant Bora had been tracking the enemy ships since they arrived, and Sergeant Taeho had prepared surprises that the hegemony never expected. The first hegemony ship exploded in a ball of fire before its captain understood what happened. Hidden missiles launched from underwater positions around the planet, guided by human technology that was somehow better than anything the advanced hegemony possessed. Impossible! Admiral Krexthor screamed as his second ship began spinning. Out of control, its engines destroyed by precise human weapons fire. They are just primitives. How can they fight like this? Commander He-jin spoke into her communicator from the ground. Because we do not just fight, Admiral. We hunt. The 3rd hegemony ship tried to escape, but engineer Yujin Han had been ready for that too. Her electromagnetic trap caught the fleeing vessel like a net catches a fish. The ship's engines died and it began falling toward the planet's surface. But the real battle was just beginning. Hegemony ground troops teleported down to the planet's surface, their heavy armor and energy weapons making them look like metal monsters. They took positions around the Kythera city, using the peaceful aliens as shields to protect themselves. Surrender, humans, the hegemony commander shouted through his suit's speakers. We have hostages now. One wrong move and we kill them all. Elder Velthara watched in terror as armed soldiers surrounded her people. The Kythera had never fought a war and did not know how to defend themselves. Children cried as their parents held them close, waiting for death to come. This is what always happens, Ambassador Quindar whispered sadly. The strong take what they want from the weak. Nothing can change this. But he had never seen humans in battle before. Sergeant Taeho moved through the ruins of the Coral City, like a ghost made of shadows and steel. His training had taught him to fight in any environment, and he used the destroyed buildings like a maze to hunt his enemies. One by one, hegemony soldiers simply disappeared, their weapons and armor found empty by their confused comrades. Engineer Yujin Han did something that made every alien watching hold their breath in shock. When cornered hegemony troops grabbed Kythera children as human shields, she shut down her own ship's defensive systems to get a clear shot at the enemies. She risked her own life and the lives of her crew to save alien children she had known for only days. You are insane, the hegemony commander yelled as Yujin's precise shots dropped his soldiers without hurting any hostages. No species risks. Everything for strangers. We are not just any species, Yujin replied calmly as she reloaded her weapon. We are human. Dr. Wu Jin Nam used the chaos of battle to swim deep into the poisoned reefs with his cure. Enemy fire exploded in the water around him, but he did not stop. He injected the green medicine into the dying coral and watched with joy as color and life began to return. The battle lasted only 2 hours. When it ended, 3 hegemony warships were destroyed, their ground forces were captured or dead, and Admiral Krexthor knelt in the sand with human weapons pointed at his scaly head. "How?" he whispered in defeat. "How did primitives defeat the mighty hegemony?" Captain Jinho looked down at the alien who had tried to commit genocide. "We did not defeat you because we are strong," he said quietly. "We defeated you because you are weak. You prey on the helpless and run from real fights. Today you met people who fight back." The coral reefs around them glowed with new life as the human cure spread through the water. 6 months had passed since the battle that saved Narration. The planet's oceans sparkled with brilliant colors as healthy coral reefs stretched as far as the eye could see. Young Kithara swam freely through crystal-clear waters, their happy songs echoing through the rebuilt cities below the waves. Elder Velthara floated beside Captain Jin Ho on the observation deck of the Human Research Station. The sunset painted, the sky in beautiful shades of orange and pink, and both of them watched the peaceful scene with quiet satisfaction. "Your government wants to give us medals," Jin Ho said with a small laugh. "The same Galactic Council that calls us dangerous now wants to celebrate our heroic humanitarian mission." "What will you tell them?" Velthara asked, her tentacles glowing softly in the evening light. Commander Hyejin joined them on the platform, carrying a datapad with the latest reports. "We will tell them we were just being human, though I doubt they will ever understand what that really means." The first Galactic Council ships had arrived last week, moving carefully through space like nervous animals approaching something they did not trust. Ambassador Quindar had welcomed them with traditional Kithara ceremonies, but the visiting aliens seemed more interested in studying the humans than celebrating the planet's recovery. "They are afraid of you," young Lysandra said, as she swam up to the platform in her small pool. The Kithara child had grown strong and healthy, her bioluminescent patterns bright and cheerful. "The Zentari ambassador asked me if the humans were planning to conquer our world." Sergeant Tae-ho laughed as he cleaned his weapon nearby. "Conquer? We can barely keep our own research station organized. Why would we want to rule a planet?" But Velthara understood the real fear. The galaxy had watched the Battle of Narration with shock and terror. 3 advanced hegemony warships destroyed by a single human exploration vessel, ground forces that had conquered dozens of worlds defeated in 2 hours by a handful of human soldiers. Other species were asking uncomfortable questions. If humans could do this to the mighty hegemony, what could they do to anyone who crossed them? Dr. Wujin Nam emerged from the water carrying samples of the new supercoral that had grown from his cure. "The reefs are not just healthy," he announced excitedly. "They are stronger than they ever were before. The Kithara cities can expand and grow like never before." "And what do we give you in return?" Elder Velthara asked. "Your people have saved our entire species. How can we ever repay such a debt?" Captain Jinho looked surprised by the question. "Repay? Elder, we did not come here to make a deal. We came because it was the right thing to do." But Engineer Yujin Han had a different idea. "Actually, there is something. Your people understand biology and ocean science better than anyone in the galaxy. Our planets have lots of water, but we are still learning how to take care of it properly. Maybe we could learn from each other." Ambassador Quindar's eyes lit up with excitement. A knowledge exchange. The Kithara have always believed that wisdom shared is wisdom doubled. The partnership that grew from this simple idea amazed the galaxy. Kithara scientists traveled to human worlds, teaching them how to heal damaged oceans and create underwater cities. Human engineers came to Narration, showing the peaceful aliens how to build defenses that would protect them from future attacks. But the most important change was in how other species saw both races. The Kithara were no longer viewed as helpless victims who needed protection. They were valuable allies with knowledge that could help entire worlds. and the humans were no longer just seen as dangerous warriors. The Veloid Trade Federation wants to hire human security for their cargo ships, Lieutenant Bora reported during the morning briefing. Pirates have been attacking their merchant vessels, and they heard what we did to the hegemony. The Altarian Republic is asking for human military advisors, added Sergeant Tejo. They say their enemies are afraid to attack them if humans are involved. Captain Jinho smiled as he read through the requests. 6 months ago, they called us bloodthirsty monsters. Now they want our protection. Elder Velthara floated in her tank, watching the human crew work together with Cathara scientists on their latest project. Perhaps the galaxy is finally learning what we discovered. The most dangerous people can also be the most loyal friends. A communication alert interrupted their conversation. The message was from Earth, humanity's homeworld. The president of the Human Federation wanted to establish a permanent embassy on Narration, making their friendship official. What do you think? Jinho asked Velthara. Ready to have humans as permanent neighbors? The Cathara elders bioluminescent. Patterns glowed brighter with happiness. Captain, when everyone else abandoned us to die alone, your people chose to stay and fight. You are not our neighbors. You are our family. Outside the station, young Cathara and human children played, together in the shallow pools, their laughter mixing with the sound of healthy waves against the shore. The galaxy might never fully understand the bond between the most peaceful and most feared species among the stars. But it did not matter what others thought. Some friendships are forged in fire and sealed with blood. Some alliances are stronger than fear. And sometimes the best way to show love is to be willing to fight for those who cannot fight for themselves.